Hey everyone, this is Spencer with MemberPress, and in this video we are going to be going over how to test your registration form and gateway setup, along with how you can skip that and simply create a test user to manually test your access to your protected content if you would like. So to start, I need to emphasize that when doing testing, no actual transactions are made if you have your gateway set to test mode. So be sure to set your gateway up in test mode. If you're unsure how to do that, please visit our user manual, where in the payment methods section, you'll find links to all of our payment gateways that we currently support. Each page here will have a video that goes over the exact setup of each gateway. Please follow along with the video exactly to make sure you have it set up correctly and that you have it in test mode. To start off, I'm going to be going over how to test the registration form and gateway setup. I've already previously set up my gateway in MemberPress, the Stripe gateway, in test mode so that I can do this test. So to start, you're going to want to navigate to your registration page. In this case, I have it linked to my menu, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then I'm going to fill out the information for my form. Alright, so I've filled out my information here with a test user. You notice that all of this information is completely fake. It's just something that I made up for testing purposes only. But I do want to point out one thing in particular. This email here is a correctly formatted email, but it's not an actual email. However, if you want to test your email process to make sure that the emails that are supposed to be sent out after a member signs up on your site, I would recommend that you use Gmail. And here's why. Say this is your email at gmail.com. Any emails that any user that you set up with this email will obviously receive emails to this email. But you can't use that email more than once because WordPress will only let you use one email per user that's the same email anyways. But Gmail allows a cool function that if you simply add a plus mark to the end of your email and then add something after that, everything will still go to the same email, but WordPress will recognize it as a completely different email, so you can use it. So for example, let's say I sign up with your email at gmail.com for one test user, and then I want to test it again, but I don't want to go through and delete the user and all that. Then I can simply use your email plus 1 at gmail.com. WordPress will let me create that as a new user, and I will still get the emails to the same email account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete that since I'm just using a fake email in this situation and for this video. And I'm going to go ahead and submit that form. You'll notice that I'm using Stripe as my selected gateway, so that's the one that I'm testing here with this registration process. And now I'm going to be taken to the page where I enter in my payment information. On this page, I'm going to be sure to link to for Stripe and PayPal and Authorize.net for the test card credentials that you need to enter in, because they all have kind of their specific things that they want you to use when testing cards. For this test, I'm just going to go ahead and enter some test credentials. Alright, so these are ones that Stripe will support. And kind of just a standard thing for the expiration date, just make sure that that's any date in the future, and then that will work for your test sign up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit submit, and when I hit submit, I should be taken to my thank you page. In this case, I have a custom thank you page set up, or you can also test your default thank you page. And so that's one of the important things you're looking at when testing your registration process, that you are successfully taken to your thank you page. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I was taken to my custom thank you message. And as you can see here, I left a note so that I would know that that was the case. But you should know if you have a custom thank you page or if it's the default one, just make sure that you're taken there. Now after you've done this, in admin you can make sure that the transaction and subscription was correctly set up to make sure that your gateway is set up correctly. So right now I'm in an incognito window to be able to test this, and that makes it easy to be able to just simply jump over to my admin. So here's my subscription page in MemberPress, and you'll see that this subscription was successfully created here with the appropriate created at date and the expires at date based on the premium membership, which I have, which is a monthly one. So you can see that it's set to expire within a month. Now there's a couple of things to look out for here. One is that if the created at or created on date and the expires on shows that it's going to expire within a day, then don't be alarmed immediately. What that usually means is that the grace period is enabled. However, and we have that so that your transactions can take up to 24 hours to process fully on the level of the gateway. So in other words, if it takes a while for that to process sometimes, then we will give your users access immediately, and then after that 1 day grace period is up, then if they don't have a successfully completed transaction, then they will lose access to your site, right, and to your protected content. But if you're seeing a 1 day expiration date over here for your subscription, then be sure to go directly to your gateway and see if the transaction shows up there. So that's one thing to look out for. Now you'll notice that I can click on this blue one right here to view the transaction, or I can hover over the unique subscription ID to click View Transaction. Also want to point out how this right here is unique to Stripe. All Stripe subscriptions should look like that, and all Stripe transactions should have an ID that looks like this. In other words, the CH underscore and then a string of numbers and letters. If you're not seeing that and you're seeing something differently, then something isn't set up right with your gateway, and you're going to need to review that setup. You can see that it's marked as complete. If it's not complete, if it's marked as pending, then that also means that something went wrong with your gateway. You need to review your setup there. So that's the basic gist of testing your registration and your gateway process in test mode. Now I want to go over how you can just simply manually add a user in WordPress, set them up with a subscription so that you can test the sign up or not test the sign up, but test just the fact that do they have access to your protected content or not. So on my test site, I'm going to go ahead and log out as this user first because that was my test user, and then I'm going to go back to my site. Okay, and while I'm here, I have this premium content page here, which you'll notice that when I'm logged out, I'm taken to my unauthorized message, which is a custom one in this case, but I'm taken to my unauthorized message, and I want to test that to see, okay, are my users who have the premium membership able to gain access to that? But I don't want to go through the registration process. But either will work. I'm just not going to do it for this example. So the first thing you need to do is actually go into WordPress, Users, and then Add New. And here I'm going to create a new user. Alright, so I've entered that user's credentials, and you'll notice again that I'm just using bogus information, just something that I can log in with. One thing to note is that the password here doesn't really matter, so you can leave the default password that WordPress generates for you, or you can just, I don't know, create an easy password like that and just confirm the use of a weak password and just use it to test, and then afterwards delete the user if you're worried about someone trying to hack into your site or something. So you also don't need to worry about sending the new user email to their account because obviously your email doesn't really matter, and that's not what we're testing in this case. Make sure that the role is set to subscriber because that's what your users are going to be, unless you have something specified otherwise on your site. So I'm going to go ahead and add that new user, and then now, like I said, I'm going to have to go into MemberPress and add a transaction to this user. So when testing this, MemberPress gives users access based on current transactions. So you're not going to add a subscription, you're going to actually just add a transaction. And by doing so, you're going to add a one-time subscription. So that's how it works in MemberPress. So you can just click this Add New, and then here, what you want to make sure is just that the transaction is associated with the user, it's marked as complete, and that you give them access for however long you want to give them access for, and to what membership. Right, so I'm going to go enter that information. Alright, so I've entered in that information now, and you'll see the only things that I really changed was I added the user, I set the membership to my premium, which I'm changing, or which I'm testing. I set the amount to the appropriate amount that the membership is for. I marked it as complete. The gateway you can leave just as manual. Subscription, you can leave that blank. MemberPress will just generate a generic one for you. And then for the expiration date, you can leave that however you want. Or you can just click the default button and it will auto-populate. Remember, this is a monthly membership, so it just auto-populates with that. And then I'm going to click Create. Okay, so now that user is set up with a premium membership. So if I go into my subscriptions, this will show up actually as a one-time non-recurring subscription. And so here it is here. There's my user that I created just for my testing purposes. So now I'm going to go into my site and I'm going to log in as that user and then revisit this page so that I can see it. Alright, so I've entered those credentials. I'm going to click login, and now after logging in, it's going to take me to my account. That's the default page that I have it set to redirect to, and I'm going to go see if I have access to this page now. So as you can see, now I have access to this premium content page. So there you go. That's one really easy way to test the protected content on your site in the way that an actual user would see it. Now before I finish this video, I just wanted to point out one useful tool when testing on your site. Say you have a user who's contacting you about not getting access to your site, you check their credentials out and you see that they have an active membership and they should be able to see everything just fine. Well, you can confirm what they're telling you by using a plugin. This plugin is called the User Switching plugin. It's awesome because it allows you to just simply, as logged in as admin, click a switch to button, as you can see in this image, and then navigate your site as you would a user. So if I go to my test site, here's my users page in WordPress, and you notice when I hover over my test users that I have, I can just simply click switch to, and then that will switch me to that user. So I'm just going to go do that real quick just so you can see what it looks like. So I switch to that user, and here I am in the back end, and then if I go to visit site, then I can go and navigate my site as if I were a user. Now this user doesn't have any membership, so I'm not going to be able to show you too much with it, but just a simple idea that you can do this and it's quite easy. Then at the bottom of the page you'll notice that there's a switch back to your admin, and so I can click that and it will switch me back, and then I can go back to my dashboard and do whatever I wanted to do. And so that's a really good way to verify what you're testing. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any more questions for us, feel free to reach out. Thank you.